YouTube. What's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for another last Cloudia unit build and showcase video. You can see on my screen we've got the cyber waifu, the special nuking queen, Alice retaking her throne as the craziest special in the entire game. And I'm very excited to build her up and showcase just that. However, y'all know how we start these videos off. We gotta show the unit some respect and unlock this ward. We do have 200 souls ready to wrap up the final step for what I consider a unit's completion. We're gonna see that ward give us special damage plus 1%. We know that each individual ward isn't crazy by themselves, but over time they add up and they can become significant buffs. And now let's dive into the girls. A summary, you can see, got her all the way up to 110, got the 4-star awakened. She is a machine type unit. We usually discuss how the typing is more significant in arena because you're trying to avoid slayers from certain enemy teams. However, I'll just tell you now, she's nothing special there. Looking at the stats, HP over 8,500, MP 300, STR 1,500, Defense 1,386, Int 775, and MND is over 1,000, which I like to see because, of course, the higher the MND, the better Proud Force heals you can get, which is your main sustain for HP with our physical DPS units, which she is outside of her special attack. Resistances, she's neutral to fire, ice, and earth, 20 weak to thunder, and then 10 resistance to light and 25 to dark. Very similar to the OG form, if I'm not mistaken. If we look there, yeah, the OG was minus 40 to thunder. Good God. Ailment resistances, she's nil to poison, weak to blind, resists silence, nil to curse, very nice, neutral to stun, and nil to illness. Not mad at those at all. And then we've got 90 SC to play around with in this build. Looking at the abilities, her S1 is her gap closer with 6 hits. S2 is a long range attack with 10 hits. S3 is a charge and then combo for 16 hits, and her special is an AoE monstrous 40 hit special. Remember, she's got true dual wield, so all of those hit counts are doubled, meaning that her DPS can get quite nutty with an 80 hit AoE special, as you can imagine. Looking at the traits, her first one, Ether Reactor when defeating an enemy physical damage cap, plus 500, special gauge plus 5%, max physical damage cap plus 5,000. Fill rate doesn't reset each wave. Pay attention, this physical damage cap does specify it's only for physical attacks. Each kill does not net her more damage on her special attack, something that was pointed out to me and I was mistaken with. When using special, boost special power based on how few enemies there are. Max damage plus 60% and damage cap plus 6,000. This is the scaling damage cap she gets on her special. Increases the less amount of enemies there are, obviously. And then Ether Wing, when 2 of either sword, machine, or spear are equipped, physical attack damage plus 30%, and damage cap plus 3,000, physical damage taken minus 25%. Also, don't get that confused. Whenever they do, like this slash in between the modifier and the damage cap, it's all related to that initial type of damage they specify. So it's physical attack damage plus 30% and physical attack damage cap plus 3,000. Don't forget, Tweak specified and tested this. This, when 2 of either sword, machine, spear are equipped, does not mean that you can do 2 types of swords if you want this effect active. In order to get the 30% physical damage and 3,000 damage cap, you will have to do 2 of the 3 that are listed here. But also, what was pointed out in the podcast is that if you are only caring about her special, right, you have no reason or incentive to build for her physical damage at all, this is literally irrelevant. So you can run double swords if it will maximize your special damage output, if that's the route you're going to go. When attacked, chance to cut the physical damage taken effect 0.5%. Again, this minus 25% reduction can be taken away over time as she gets hit, being cut by minus 0.05%, depending on when that activates every time she gets hit. I can't remember if it was ever specified, the percentages, if that was data mined, how often this cut physical damage taken takes place. I'm not really too concerned to know the details on it at all. So let's move on to her innate skills. We have her 3 magic spells. Ether Full Release. This is her innate Winry's Apple Pie that she comes with. Charges all of her skills at the cost of 200 MP, but then it does sap all available MP that's in your tank. Activate Slayer Mode. Temp SCT. Recovery speed plus 15%. And skill/special use HP for 35% damage. So this is something that you have to stay on top of in long-term fights. Some people may notice that after a certain amount of time they use one special and they go to use the next special and it does not deal nearly the same amount of damage. It's because when she starts the battle, she starts with this effect active for 40 seconds. If you don't recast it before using a second special, you're losing 35% damage, as you can see here. So something that you do kind of have to maintain on her. And then the most exciting skill that she comes with, Ether Full Release Code Beta, is her innate Great War of Ruin. Consume all MP to restore 100% of the unit's special gauge. However, do note this is once per quest. You can't use this every wave. You'll definitely want to save this for the right moment. Don't blow your load too early with it. But then you can't use it in arena, right? Arena, they don't want it to be stupid, crazy, broken with specials and time stops and UR arc skills all over the place. So very, very, very PvE heavy here, but an extremely fun skill nonetheless. And then in terms of stat up innates, she has Fighting Spirit 5, Resolve up 4, Critical up 2, Advanced Aim Vitals. Then she's got Proud Force innately, which is always nice. Royal Armor, reduced chance of receiving critical hits. Anti-Fizz Armor gives you a chance to negate physical damage altogether. Auto Protection gives you minus 20% physical damage. Auto Haste, that constant plus 25% to her SCT charge. Holy Armor, continuous Holy Wall effect to unit, gives her that minus 20% to dark damage. Patience 2, close to death, defense plus 30%. She has Awaken innately, which is a great SC save. Light Mega Drive, this is our first damage modifier and cap that comes innately, and we know that this has a cost of 15 SC, so very nice that she has that for free. Light Critical Rays, giving her that 5% crit and critical power plus 50%. Pose of Glory comes innately. Booster, giving her some boosted movement speed. True Dual Wield, we talked about it already, but this just allows dual wield for your special as well, so that 40 hit special becomes an 80 hit special. Sword Mega Boost, another damage mod and physical damage cap. Innately a Machine Mega Boost, same thing, but for machines, along with the defense cutting effect. Ultimate Boost 3, another great skill that she has innately, because this is only teachable from an LR that you got from the Attack on Titan collab. So very, very limited. Nice that she has the most rare ultimate boost of all 3 inside of her kit. Charge Special Boss Wave, special gauge plus 25%. Very nice on her. Giant Killing 2 also gives 20% damage mod to bosses, as well as 2000 cap. Mercury Veil, activate a barrier once every 30 seconds that nullifies status ailments. Very nice to have when status ailments get a little bit sticky. Activate Combat Program. So if you notice, she didn't have any like Auto Brave, Auto Crit, Fast Brave, Fast Crit. It's because it's all packed in this skill: Auto Cast, Brave, Speed, and Critical. However, this continues until incapacitation, so it's not a 40-second buff, but it's also not technically a permanent stat boost. It is until she dies the first time, so you really want to keep her alive. You don't want to rely on her either dying and being revived. Auto Slayer mode, this is what activates that spell that we looked at in the at the top of this list. So this is that 40-second buff, giving you that damage boost for your HP cost. Overboost. When using special, use all skill stocks to boost damage and damage cap. When at least 9 stocks are used, max damage plus 135% and damage cap plus 13,500. Something I didn't mention with her abilities is that each one, her S1, her S2, and her S3, have innately 3 total stocks available. So if they're all charged up, and you use her special, that's when you get the full extent of this boost, and it is extremely significant. You will want to be aiming to have max skill stocks, or at least 9, before you launch off her special. Otherwise, you're going to see that range in amount of damage output that you're getting from it. Things we want to keep in mind when we move on to the build. Blade Reconstruction, duration of STR debuffs on unit minus 50%. When recovering from STR debuff, give strength plus 35% buff to unit. Very cool skill because it works hand in hand with the gimmick that many of us were concerned with. Her special does give her a minus 50% to her STR stat. However, the original time frame for that was what, 10 seconds that it's active. So this skill, once you unlock it, turns that 10 seconds into 5 seconds. Your average player is barely even going to notice the debuff is there at all. But then it not only goes away, it then flips into a Grand Brave 35% boost to STR. And her STR stat is fairly important here if you're thinking about using her specials, because we don't have a lot of damage modifiers for special, and the STR stat does play a heavier role in that damage output. So very, very cool skill that works with her entire kit. Wing Barrier Reboot. When unit is revived, fully restore the trait Ether Wings cut physical damage taken effect. I really don't care about this skill at all. One, because of this, how I mentioned, you don't really want to let her die. But let's say she does go down and she got hit a bunch of times, so maybe this 25% is now 13% when she died. You bring her back, and then it turns back into 25%. You know, so it's kind of gimmicky with her trait too, but again, with what we're going to be emphasizing in this build, I could care less about her tanking capabilities. So looking at what she comes with, it's a bit all over the place, not in a bad way. We know that she's got a bit of damage mitigation with things like Resolve Up 4. She has the Royal Armor, Anti-Fizz Armor, Auto Protection. She has Awaken and Patience innately. So we see that they gave her some tanky abilities as well as some damage mods, but nothing too crazy. They gave her really big SC cost damage mods, but it's not damage mods that are going to push her physical damage to peak immediately or easily just by unlocking her board. She's got some nice SCT sustain, right, with Pose of Glory. She's got some speed with Booster. I'm not mad at that at all. Has a speed stack inactivate combat program, so we want to make sure not to double stack these buffs that don't stack on top of each other. And then she's got some sustain to help her special with things like Charge Special. What's nice is Giant Killing. And then the Light Mega Drive and Overboost all help her special damage. Proud Force for some HP sustain. A little bit of crit with Crit Up 2 and Light Critical Rays. So she's got the capability to sustain herself in all areas. But we're going to rearrange our little list of how we want to build Alice, because while she is a physical DPS unit, I'm only concerned with her special, right? So I'm going to throw that up, and we want to make sure her special is always hitting the max amount of damage that it can, because as we'll see in battle, it's very easy to acquire, especially because she gets a percentage of her special stock when you're killing enemies. She has Charge Special, and then her natural special rate is just quicker than most units. So we want to make sure when we use her special, we're getting the absolute most out of it. Secondary to that, we will then lean a little bit into her physical damage mods, because as we saw, these spells use up all MP. If we want to charge up her skill stocks, we need to use 200 MP at least, and when we want to pull the trigger on code beta, we also need 200 MP. So recharging her MP, making sure that that is stocked up, is extremely important, and we know that there are ways to do that, but they will rely on physical damage. So without further ado, I think we should get into the building process, and I'll show you exactly how I build my Alice. Scrolling through the magic spell list, there's really nothing that I'm going to encourage you to use here, because we don't want Alice using MP on anything except those very unique skills and spells that she has, her Etherful releases, her activate Slayer mode. Right, these are not cheap MP usage spells, so we're going to need all of our MP stocked up for sure. With that in mind, you might be thinking, oh, well then should I use MP ups on her? Well, no, because if you recall the Etherful releases, yes, they cost 200 MP, however, they yeet your entire MP pool regardless if you have 200, regardless if you have 800 MP. As soon as you use this, all of it's going to disappear. So it honestly does not matter. So we're going to keep the SC in reserve for other skills as we scroll down. We're going to skip over all of the stat ups because you all know what I encourage. We come back to this at the very end of the build. Not concerned with critical ups because we do have Proud Force innately. She has critical up 2. She has that critical light raise. That's enough critical for me personally. The guard package, obviously, we're not going to be running that on her at all. Getting into the Slayers list. So this is quite interesting. If you're trying to maximize her physical damage output, then yes, Slayers are usually pretty standard to take advantage of. However, she doesn't come with any Slayers innately, and like you can see in the list above, I'm concerned with her special damage. Slayers and Killers, right, these give you anti-effects to your physical attacks, which is not what we're concerned with here. And because we'd be doing a minimum of 14 SC given to the Slayer package, I'm going to skip over this completely as well. Even if you do want to push her physical DPS to be capping on all whites and getting the most out of her skill stocks, she's still not performing at the top level of physical DPS units. Where she truly becomes a broken unit is with that special. So I'm not concerned with making physical damage my priority here. We're going to be using the weapons that she's able to use innately, so don't need to worry about any of these equips. Don't care about putting any status ailment resistances on her. Then we get into more stat increases, and we don't want to forget what I mentioned earlier. With her activate combat program skill, she has her brave, she has speed, and she has critical already packaged in that skill. So we don't have to worry about putting these types of skills on top of that because they won't stack. You are then wasting SC. Empty Brave's an interesting skill. We did just get it on the newest SSR Ark White Monolith that released with Alice here. And this is not a bad move, especially because, how I mentioned, the STR stat is going to impact her special damage a lot more than if we were looking at a physical damage build. And because more likely than not, you're going to be using one of the two, if not both of her Etherful releases. By the time you're ready to launch off her special, she will have 0 MP, in which case she'll be taking advantage of this STR plus 15%. So I'm not mad at this skill at all for the SC3, but for our build, I know what we're going to be working towards, so I'm not interested in it myself. You might think, let's do fast recast because we want to get those skills off quicker, the Etherful releases, but she's already insta-casting those, so I wouldn't worry about the recast ability here. More elemental damage mitigation and these when close to death, right, when you hit 30%, these types of stat ups activate. I'm not interested or worried about these at all. However, Pride's a very nice ability at max HP. STR plus 20%. We'll definitely be taking advantage of that. She has a little Proud Force package built in her, so keeping her at max HP is going to probably happen more times than not, in which case the STR boost of 20% for 4 SC is a very good return. Then we scroll down into the light damage modifiers that range from your boosts, which increase magic damage, to your drives, which increase physical attack and special damage, as well as your attack raises, which encompass all light damage. This is the main section I want to highlight. I want to give Alice as many special damage modifiers as I can here. So the fact that we have light drive and light high drive are just immediate yeses for me, as well as light attack raise 2, since this encompasses all light attack damage it is going to help her special stay at those damage caps, which is what we want. So this is a very expensive and I would say limited package to equip on Alice, but it's what I would recommend for this build as soon as you're able to acquire these things. As we scroll down, I'll continue to give alternative skills that I'd be using if I didn't have certain things like this, because you got to think, maybe you don't have light attack raise 2 and light high drive and that makes you feel left out. However, getting back 26 SC allows you to add a lot of other skills and maybe emphasize some other areas of her, make her perform better in her physical DPS. Maybe you want to make her a bit tankier, depending on what skills you have. So don't think that you can't have a well-built Alice by not having these exact skills that I'm using here. Weak point boost is always an interesting skill to talk about, but since we're building a general special nuking build with Alice, it's not what I'm going to spend 7 SC on. Hose of Honor is a great MP sustain if we're going to be taking on multi-enemy, multi-wave stages, so I definitely am going to throw that on her for this build. And then looking at some more sustain on her, remember that in order to get that max overboost amount, Alice does want her full skill stocks before launching her special. So Pirate's Feast makes it a lot less of a hassle, especially in wave by wave content, to just start with all of her skill stocks rather than need to worry about casting both her Ether full release and Ether code beta. Really love this skill. Of course, Pirate's Feast, one of the most broken SCT sustain skills for wave to wave content. As well as looking at Goddess Kiss, which is going to be our main priority and main source of MP regeneration. This is what's going to drive us to still want to focus on physical attack damage, since you do regain 2% of normal attack damage as MP. Normal attacks do fall under the physical damage category, so while special damage is the priority here, physical attack damage mods are still a very close second. Sky High and Surprise Attack are great conditional damage modifiers to shout out here, since they are encompassing all damage, right? It doesn't say physical damage to enemies in midair. This doesn't say magic damage when attacking enemies. It just says damage, which means that if the enemy is propped up into the air and you use an Alice special, you will be getting this damage boost. If Alice is positioned behind the enemy's back before launching her special off, you will get this 50% damage boost as well. So again, these are great damage mods to think about for a very effective cost. Backstab, this, as you can see, only encompasses physical damage, so it should be noted that this will not help your special damage. But since I know what build we are making, I'm going to skip over spending the 8 SC here. Just wanted to give those a quick shout out. Terramelts, of course, are also all damage modifiers, just with the condition that you need to give the enemy status ailment. So if you build your team comp for that, she can absolutely take advantage of all of the Terramel boosts, including the newly added Terramel 3, giving her some extra damage cap. So can be very worth if you're willing to build specifically for status ailments, right? This is another reason why she couples so well with melee. They're both light attackers, so you can decrease light resistance. They're both getting benefits from that, as well as taking advantage of the Terramel boosts for Alice's overall damage output. We see Blessed Speed next to Booster. I think Booster and the speed buff she gets are plenty, especially since her S1 is a gap closer. You don't really need to worry too much about her movement speed getting in range. However, for her normal attacks, if you have no skill stocks, you know, I think Booster plus the speed boost is plenty of speed to suffice here. Blessed Speed is just never worth the 8 SC in my opinion. Don't get confused. I'm just going to bring it up again because I see them and I know it confuses many people. Even though these impact skills give your regular attacks extra damage, those extra attacks do not contribute to Goddess Kiss regeneration. So it's an absolute waste and very expensive SC if you're running impacts on Alice thinking that that's the case. Getting down into some more damage modifiers, the weapon boosts are typically very easy to throw on, and we are going to put on sword high boost and sword boost here. However, this is mainly to promote the normal attack because, as we know, the weapon boost as sword boost specifically gives the physical attack damage boost, which does not contribute to her special damage, but giving her an extra 40% to physical attacks will help increase that overall normal attack damage, which will then give us bigger MP procs from Goddess Kiss. So fairly important 13 SC, 40% damage boost. Not gonna say no to it. And while if I was lacking other skills we're about to see, I might throw on Machine High Boost and Machine Boost as well, we want to take a step back before doing that, because the further I scroll down, we get into these skills right here. You can see Ultimate Boost and Ultimate Boost 2. As I described above, special attack damage is our priority here, and so anything that can contribute to maximizing that damage, I'm just going to throw on Alice here. Ultimate Boost and Ultimate Boost 2 are both found on SSRs. If I'm not mistaken, one of them is on multiple SSRs, so a lot more easily accessible than Ultimate Boost 3, which is a great reason why this one is included in her kit for free. And then the SCT Sustain and Stock skills. I am going to use Purple Orb because I just love it. If I want to use some skills before I use the special, I can, because I'm not at risk of dropping my 9 total stocks down below that. At least with the first 3, or at least with an S1, S2, and S3, I have an extra stock of those without worrying about losing the overboost ability. So Purple Orb I do like. If I didn't have Purple Orb, I probably would run both Stock Skill 1 and Stock Skill 2 just to have those extra stocks for me to use. With Purple Orb, we're just going to chill with that. And then Skill Charge 1, so I can at least start with an S1, which is great because it's a nice gap closer at the beginning wave, since wave 2 and on is when we get all of our Pirates Feast, and I don't want to be left hanging with no stocks at the beginning of our battle. So sticking with Skill Charge 1 here, and as we can see, we've crossed over our 90 SC cost that's available, and because of that, I now remember that before I started this build video, I actually didn't have Pose of Honor equipped. Well, it's a very, very nice skill to have. The fact that we do have some nice damage mods to give us Goddess Kiss regen procs, I will go ahead and take away Pose of Honor and then just take the 1 SC, and like we mentioned, now go back to the different stat ups, and the easiest choice is attack of 1, even though it's only 2%. It's 1 SC, it's a more attack, which does contribute to her special damage output. So there you go, guys. That is going to be the skill set for our special nuking Alice that we currently have 90 SC. So not taking into account the Alice Prism we're most likely going to get in tomorrow's update for the Part 2 mission rewards, or however they're going to do it, maybe the extra Ether Coin chance box. That's how we're going to get the Alice Prism, I'd be willing to bet, so just keep that in mind. And now let's look over at the equips section. This is going to be very straightforward. Tweaks did a great video showcasing different options for you to choose from in all of her equips and the different benefits of each, but for me, if we're going with a general Alice nuking build, the answer is pretty obvious. We're going to be using 2 of the weapons that she does want from her trait. Sword of the Lost Souls gives her the Trishula effect on her special attack, and then we're going to be using Trishula itself for her physical attacks. If anything is resisting light, it just won't matter depending on her special, depending on her physical attacks, because we're just going to ignore any light resistance that we come across along the way. And as you guys saw, we went crazy with the special damage modifiers. So what I want to make sure is that our special damage cap is pushed to a higher limit, or the most amount that we possibly can, with whatever you have. And for your boy Buddha, Hail Sovereign's Ring is nice. It gives the physical damage cap plus 1,000, but also a special damage cap of 1,500. And then we're finally going to dust off the Scarlet Ring here. This does not see a lot of light nowadays. However, now that we have Alice coming in, shining a light on the game with her crazy special, an extra 2,000 damage cap on an 80 hit special is definitely something I'm going to take advantage of. So with the accessories giving us 3,500 extra damage cap, we will definitely take it. Is it the craziest percentage increase on her overall damage cap? Not really. However, since she has true dual wield, it is doubly effective, in which case I just like the biggest numbers that I can muster on her special with as much effort as we've put into increasing her special, or making sure that her special damage caps every single hit. An accessory I do want to give a shout out to, just because we don't see a lot of this, the Brave General's Eye Band, whenever they do rerun the Shift Lance Veil event that they released when he dropped, this is one of the only accessories that does give a very nice special damage modifier. If you are struggling to hit her damage caps, special damage plus 15% is something that I took note of and wanted to just give a quick shout out to. However, with this little setup here, we don't got to worry about anyone resisting Alice's crazy OP ultimate. And so that is what we're going to run in this event. With that build out of the way, let's go ahead and travel over to a stage and see what this looks like in action. Chapter 6-9, Encroaching Dead, is nothing we're unfamiliar with in the showcases, but it's perfect for showing what I want to do with this general build on Alice. Before we get into that, though, we gotta talk about some Ark selections. Of course, you guys have seen the original Eldravana thrown around because it helps us accomplish exactly what I'm trying to do with this Alice build. Special damage plus 120%. Crazy damage modifier for her special. During each wave, slowly boost physical damage as time passes, up to max of 50%, which is a quite nice boost. It just takes so long to get there. We're never going to see the full realization of that physical damage boost. However, if it is taking you a while, that is going to help with her physical attacks, including her normal attacks, which I'm all for. But then it also gives the special damage limit of plus 5,000. Don't forget, with true dual wield, you're talking about an effective 10,000 damage boost, which is just great, right? Beautiful damage cap. Does everything you want out of a special nuking build. So, of course, UR still staying relevant, especially with Alice to this day. Council of 10, I gotta give it a shout out. I know this is 2 URs back to back. What the heck, Buddha? However, you all know at Ark skill level 10, it charges all of the SCT for the designated unit. So, just works beautifully with Alice, since you can get her skill stocks back and not have to worry about doing the Ether full release back to back, as we mentioned. Any way to get all of her stocks quickly so that she can then use her special to its full extent is something that I want to highlight. And then more for a meme, I want to talk about Doomdozer. Tweaks recently put out a graphic, a chart, showing the different potential damage output that Alice can achieve with her special and different arcs, and Doomdozer popped up in that. I'm thinking, what? So I went back, looked at the trait, and I'm just going to look at the very last sentence. In break, deal an extra attack after specials. That's worded real funky, right? However, what this means is that if an enemy or a boss specifically is in break, you will deal an extra attack of 100% per special hit. So that can get quite crazy. I think we're going to showcase that in this video as well, just for the memes. Shout out to Lax Landers, who also put out a video real quick after this information was publicized. Very funny to see. Just wanted to highlight it. Excited to take advantage of that as well. And of course, there is an arc that's not on here. Great War of Ruin is a UR that is still the pinnacle of UR arcs to this day. At the arc skill level 10, it allows you to charge up your entire party's ultimate on demand, as well as give the user of the arc an extra charge of special directly after using that first special. So Alice can get crazy ultimate spamming accomplished with the Great War of Ruin arc. That's why it's such an incredible arc. Even at arc skill level 1, it's going to work incredibly on her. So the debate is real when considering like which UR arc is better, Eldravana here or Great War of Ruin. I think if you're going to spam 2 ultimates back to back. Great War of Ruin is going to give you more damage output as long as you're hitting your damage caps. You're missing out the damage cap here. However, just the fact that you can spam 2 ultimates back to back and then use a third one with her code beta skill, you're talking about a ridiculous amount of damage output in a much faster amount of time than just using one special, possibly 2, with the Eldravana Arc equipped. But for general gameplay, I still think I would run Eldravana over Great War of Ruin because it's never gonna take more than 2 ultimates, right, to clear most content in the game. So I personally like Eldravana, not that I really have a choice. Both incredible options. I guess something I should give a shout out to very quickly, even though it involves her paid gear giving her access to criticals on her special attack, Heaven's Bow Star-Lord does grant an extra attack for each critical. This is going to be 25 to 28% of the special hit damage as an extra attack. Yes, you can access it. Is it anything I'm personally super impressed with? No. I think it's definitely significant if you want to go for a critical build to milk out as much extra attacks from her special as possible. Go for it. It's just something that I personally would never probably prioritize building for. Since I have it, I'll just bring up Aaron versus the female Titan. This isn't something I'd really recommend over anything else. However, some people may have started during the Attack on Titan collab, so they do have access to this if they got lucky. And with a full team, I believe it's a party of 4, you can get an 80% damage mod to your special, of course helping you to achieve that full damage cap with her specials, which is the priority here. That's what's most important to make sure you're achieving. So wanted to give that arc a shout out. Without further ado, it's time to start the quest and see what this build looks like. Remember, so wave 1, we're only going to have 1 skill stock, so it's not the craziest thing in the world, but wave 2 and onward is where things are going to get fun. Hopefully we'll be able to snag some kills here. We can see that we are critting on, or we're capping on our crits, but our white damage is a lot less potent. We'll go ahead and use an S3 just to see what that looks like. She does have to get in range, as you can see. Stone enemies being super defensive, we're seeing that damage mitigation heavily. Tweaks and I both talked about it. We do feel that there's a lack of damage modification in her skills themselves. In order to maximize her physical damage output, you really have to put in the effort, which for me takes away a lot of potential damage she can get out of the special attack. And again, even at capping with all of her skills, the performance is still not even touching the top tier of physical DPS we have in game. But here we go. We have a special available to us. We've got full skill stocks. This is what I'm talking about with Pirate's Feast being so nice. You know, there are other ways to make sure you have a very nice amount of SCT built up after a certain amount of waves. But since we have Pirate's Feast, I know these are all charged to their max. After getting some kills in the first couple waves, we've got her special charged up. So we might as well use it, right? Just to see the amount of damage we can get here. This will easily give us a ton of kills. We can see it went from 39 to 45, 199 here. Don't forget that when there are the least amount of enemies on the stage, she gets up to 6,000 boost. So since all of them died in the first hit, the rest of the hits counted as if no enemies were alive, giving her that max boost, right? But very nice. With those kills, we were able to get about 25% of her special recharged up. So we can go back to physical attack damage spamming. Her S1 is by far her most fun skill in my opinion. But as you can see, she does suffer from the lack of super armor that we've all gotten very used to with Shift Roland introduced into the game. So she can get flinched out of her physical attacks. Just more reason why I'm full in, like all chips bet on her special attack. This is going to jump up. Don't forget, because she has the skill charge special, which gives her that 25% special charge rate at the boss wave. We're not going to waste any time here. She's got all of her buffs active, right? Wave starts, she starts with her Slayer mode. Everything's looking good. She's got full skill stocks, and we're going to see the same thing. The damage is going to jump up when we kill everything because we get that full 6k damage boost from her trait 1. So not even going to let these a-holes do anything, right? We're just going to kill them immediately. We've got a lot of damage that we're pumping out right now. If you notice the 47,000, that's because she does have Giant Killing 2, which gives her that extra 2,000 damage cap to the boss enemy. Just a lot of different numbers you see using her special, and I know when I was getting used to her kit, I was thinking, why is her damage jumping all over the place? It's because of her trait, it's because of certain skills that she has. However, you're looking at a minimum of 3 million damage pumped out per special, and in an AoE, it's just absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And as I said, now we're going to do something a bit memey. I kind of want to just see how many hits we're looking at with this Doom Dozer effect, what it looks like in actuality. We're going to be getting 160 hits from Doom Dozer when the enemy is in break, but the extra attacks, the extra 80 hits will be technically 50% of the total damage output we can see from her max cap. So the plan here is pretty simple. We're going to load in, break the boss with Gobble, group them up, and then go ahead and launch an Alice special just to see the ludicrous hit count and what it actually looks like. Very excited to test this out. This is my first attempt here, so hopefully I don't screw something up. If I do, it will get cut. And this is still definitely the first take. I have not made any cuts at all. And activate code release beta. We're going to make sure we're targeting the boss here. Drop an S3, group them together, and everything's just going to look incredibly well. We're going to have to do 2 S3s to break, and it's just going to look great. I'm going to wait to see. I want to make sure I'm targeting the boss who is in break before I launch a special. We can see that we have 7 skill stocks available, so not quite the full 9 to get all of Overboost. But I'm still not worried about it. We're looking at the hit counts right now. That's what I'm interested in seeing. We can see the hit counts shooting up incredibly high to a monstrous 156 hits. Quite funny to see. What I will say is, while I told y'all that was my take 1, surprise, surprise, Buddha was lying. If you are not targeting the boss when you activate her special with Doom Dozer, you will not get the extra attacks. Yes, quite crazy, quite weird, and quite funny. However, it was very nice, very funny to see that actually happen in-game. So 156 hit special is quite a meme, if I say so myself. So final thoughts on our girl Alice. Is she a very special unit? Absolutely super fun to use when you have a lot of endgame resources at your disposal. She's gonna work very well, I think, in many upcoming trials, time trials specifically, Tower of Trials. She's gonna be excellent. I'm excited for that to roll back around. But for your average player, she's not going to be just the craziest busted unit you've ever had at your disposal. Definitely not a unit I would recommend chasing, but if you do manage to land her on your account, I don't think you would regret it at all if you decided to build her here. We didn't really take her into any extremely difficult content, but I think she's going to do very well. As we saw, she has a lot of tankiness in her build. So she's going to be surviving. She's got Awaken. She's going to be able to stay on the battlefield a lot easier than other units, I feel, especially for PvE content. In Arena, there's literally nothing to say. She's super mid. I think she'll be okay and just fine. If you're just starting Arena, she's your first unit. Yeah, she'll be cool with her S1s dashing all over the screen, taking care of business. But for that top tier meta Arena gameplay, just no chance in hell she's competing there. Super, super fun PvE unit, but unnecessary for the majority of accounts looking to build necessities, if that makes sense. Thank you guys for being patient with this showcase. I know I had said I was going to get it up yesterday. Lady Buddha did catch a pretty bad case of the sickies, hoping that it's not any more than she can get over soon, but it's been pretty intense, so she's been home the last couple days. And you know your boy Buddha, being the house husband, has to take care of the lady of the house. So that's where my time has been. If I look a little tired, that's probably why, but hopefully we'll be able to get back on a regularly scheduled content routine again. And thank y'all for watching this video. That's all I got for you this time, guys. Like, subscribe, bell notice if you're new, and if you learned something, please show some love on the video. Just liking it goes such a long way. Y'all have no idea. Let me know in the comments if you have Alice, if you're building her, if you're not interested in her at all. I like to see all of the feedback here. And if you're not already over on Twitch, make sure to go follow me there. I've been doing a lot more live streams lately, a lot of Last Cloudia grinding. Just gives a good opportunity to hang out with you guys live, answer questions in a kind of Q&A format for many people. Also guarantees you a way to be in any future giveaways we decide to host on the channel. So I encourage you to check out that in the links below. With all that being said, y'all know what we say. Work hard, play hard. See you in the next video.